Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSI DFS Fantasy NFL Picks. I'm your host, Meguro31. Before we get started, tomorrow, just a reminder, if you play season long, there is a London game. Again, it's the Jaguars and the Bears. And then I believe the Jaguars are going to be there next week also. Sometimes they do it so they play like 2 weeks in a row. So it seemed like they really like to play there. They seem to do well there. So if you're playing in that game, I would probably take either Brian Thomas Jr. or DJ Moore as your captain, and then probably play both quarterbacks and then fill in with value like the kickers or Engram should be back, man, at tight end, just something like that to make it work. So we have a 10 game slate for the main slate. And you've got a whole variety of totals here. You've got ones that are approaching 50, which are really juicy, and then you've got some like really, really low ones that in some games you just might want to cross off. So we'll run through them like we usually do, and then talk about some plays, and that gets you some builds to get you started for your lines for Sunday. So, first game we have is my second favorite one of the week. It is the Washington Commanders and the Baltimore Ravens as a 51.5 total, which is outstanding. Ravens are favored by 7 points. So, Nathan Daniels has been great. His price is really getting up there, 7,300. So, you're definitely paying for him there. And Lamar on the other side. I think either quarterback here are good in cash. I think they both can be able to do a lot. Ravens are pass funnel defense, which means that they're really good against the run, and they prefer you to try to pass the ball. So that might limit Daniel's upside just a little bit, and we'll have to see how that goes. They are down their running back with Brian Robinson Jr. there. So Eckler is going to be the lead back, but I just don't trust him here against this Ravens like stout run defense. So passing game's definitely in play here because that's what the Ravens kind of force you to do. McLaurin has come along and has been pretty good, but he hasn't faced any like double coverage this season yet. And the Ravens do play a lot of that. So Noah Brown, I've been talking about for a couple weeks. I know he was out injured. I think it was like last week, but just the games I've watched is there. He is getting targets, and I think it's just a matter of time. And if they are clamping down on McLaurin, then I think it opens up either Brown or McCaffrey, and either one of them could be strong. And I'll have some shares of Brown just because I just feel a big game coming, and I don't want to miss out on it. So I will sprinkle in a couple of GPPs, and Ertz is usually solid for you in the tight end position. For Baltimore, I think you can definitely use Henry. I think they can go out there and run the ball like they have. Justice Hill, sprinkle into GPPs, catches balls out of the backfield, can, if they get ahead, be out there getting some runs during garbage time. Zay Flowers really came on last game. I just still don't feel that he's like a cash play with floor, but I understand if you do want to play like Lamar as your quarterback and want to correlate that he's where you want to go because Bateman and Aguilar are there, but really not anything that really feels like warm and fuzzy with a solid floor for cash. And then the tight ends, like in years past, like Andrews was just such a lock to play with Lamar. And this year he's not. And actually, I think Kolar had like 1, 2 touchdown catches last game out of nowhere, the third string tight end. And likely did, I believe, have one. So it's Russian roulette with these tight ends. Any of them could catch a touchdown, but until we see one of them kind of separate themselves from the other, I'm not really touching them. So playing Lamar naked, playing Henry, Ravens defense, I'm okay with, even though Washington and Daniels have been strong. I think that they are definitely in play, and Flowers also. Houston Texans and New England Patriots, 37.5 total. New England has a 15.5 total, so that is super low here. On the Texan side of it, you have CJ Stroud, who's in play. He lost a huge weapon in Nico Collins. he does still have Diggs. He still has Adele out there. We don't know if Mixon's going to be back at running back or not, so I'm not really going to be touching the Houston backfield. I've saw a lot of people pick up Gun Bawale. Sorry, I can't pronounce that. Dare Ogun Balai in their season long leagues, thinking Nixon was going to be out, but we'll see if he actually plays or does much. He has been getting some run, but again, I think this is just going to be a mess. It might be something nice to try to figure out if you can pinpoint it, if it does look like Mixon is good to go with like no concerns. He could be in play just because I think Houston defense is going to be a strong defense to look to pay up for if you are, and you really want to pair a run back with him because if they get out early and then they're just running the ball to run the clock out, then that works well in a correlation. So Stroud, again, you can play him. I think it's going to be a blowout. I don't know how much. Hopefully, if he does, it's early and often, and Diggs and Dell are the ones that you want to look at. And I think Dalton Schultz is going to be very popular also because I think he's going to pick up target share with missing Collins. I think Dell is the one that's going to get it the most. I think they're already game planning for Diggs just because he's such a diva and he'll start crying if he doesn't get the ball. And I think he'll get about the same, but I think Dell really comes alive. Hopefully, he's put the injury past him and can turn into a glimpse of what he was last year because it was simply amazing. And then Schultz there also. Patriots side, they're going to start Drake May, rookie. A lot of upside with him, but again, it's a rookie. It's an offense that's really floundering. Stevenson is out of the game, so Gibson is going to be the lone back. I think he's a solid cash play if you think that he's going to have the volume, like not sharing with anything, and he can catch balls out of the backfield if they are, but it just is this going to be an absolute disaster with a rookie quarterback out there is what you have to really ask yourself. So Polk is the only real wide receiver that doesn't have a questionable tag. Douglas and Bourne are both questionable for the game, and actually, even when they have been in games, have been questionable on the field. So I think Polk and Henry are like really the only ones if you want to go with some strange GPP or even like try to run back this game by stacking Houston part of it and taking like Stroud and Diggs or Dell, or even going with the route of like Mixon and the Houston defense, running it back at Polk or Henry is the only place I'd really look. Next up, we have the Colts and the Titans. They have a 43 total, which is higher than like the 42 total for the Tampa Bay New Orleans game that I have in my top five up here. But when I tried to build this game, I looked at it, I thought, like, who do I really want to play from here? So starting with the Colts side, Richardson should be back, but is he going to make it through the full game, or is he going to get banged up again, or be ineffective, and Joe Flacco is going to go out there and take over? Trey Sermon was okay. He got a touchdown to kind of save his all the people that played him cash last week, but I don't really think that I want to go back there this week against the Texans or Titans defense that is pretty good against the run, with having Taylor out again. Pittman was much better with Flacco, but I don't know how he's going to be with Richardson. At one point, he was injured during the week and maybe going on the IL. Now, just kidding, I'm fine. Downs also has injury designation, but should play. And then Pierce out of nowhere is the one that stole the show and lost me my season-long matchup because he just went nuclear last week. So God only knows where this is going. The Flacco was targeting Mo Ali Cox quite a few times. He only caught like one of the balls, but a couple were in the end zone and he just couldn't get to him. So you take that in consideration. There's no way in hell I'm playing the Colts defense's worst defense against pass and run in football. So not touching that. So again, there's really not much that I really want to play on this Colts side. So we go over to Tennessee Titans, and Will Levis should be back. Hopefully his shoulder's okay. If he's not effective, do they put the backup in? We'll have to see. Pollard is going to be chalk of chalk because Indianapolis Colts is the worst running defense in the league, and you can definitely run on them. So and definitely and pass on them. You can do everything against them. So I think Pollard is going to be super popular. don't sleep on Tajay Spears. They love him and they really get him involved. And if it is a blowout, then he might get the run. So keep him in mind as another option in GPPs. If you want to pair Levis with somebody, Ridley or Hopkins or Boyd, like I think all of them are pretty even. I really think Boyd starts to emerge if like Levis gets out there because I think he's a decent possession receiver. Ridley has a ton of talent. Hopkins is starting to get on the um, other side of the mountain over the hill for his career. And a Koku, the tight end, is always in play also. And like I said, the Tennessee defense, especially paired with Pollard, I really like that in cash games. Cleveland Browns and Philadelphia Eagles. The Browns were so disappointing last week. Had a great matchup. Looked like they could go out there, and Deshaun Watson is horrible. And you know what? The funny thing is I do share the same name as the GM of Cleveland Brown, and it is hilarious on social media because I do so many sports things that people actually think that I am that guy, and I get hate mail, especially after games like last week where Deshaun Watson just pretty much walks off the field when they still potentially had a chance to keep the game at hand. And I think that this defense, it was world class last year and like really, really strong. But I think with the offense being so inept and not really producing or doing anything, that the defense really doesn't get up for the game or they're on the field too long and really can't be effective. So I think Eagles go out there and it's a great get right game for them, and they absolutely destroy the Browns at home with their wide receivers back and getting healthy. So, not interested in anything on the Cleveland side. I'm not even going to touch it. Yes, there's players there. Yes, if you're playing in a millionaire and have the money to mass multi-enter, then yes, play Cleveland stack. Sometimes weird things can happen, but I don't really see that happening. I think Hertz is a very strong play for cash quarterback. Barkley is very, even though Cleveland has had decent rush defense, again, it really doesn't seem to matter. They are not playing like up to their potential. And I think this is another letdown week, and I think Barkley could have a strong game. AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, I would probably lean Brown just before the hamstring issue. He seems to be perfect, healed up and everything. And I think that he's definitely probably more of a target than Smith, but we'll have to see. You can save a little bit of money, like $1,000 if you do drop down to Smith. And then Goddard should still be in play, but probably not as much with the other two main guys being back and Barkley catching balls out of the backfield. And if you have the money to pay up Philly defense paired with Barkley, works also. Arizona in Green Bay. This game is a 47 total, but I have as my fifth favorite because there's like an 80% chance of rain. It could be absolute and wind blowing like across the field at like 8 to 10 miles per hour. So it could be a sloppy, sloppy game. So I like it. I will probably play a stack of it in GPP. I would probably prefer Love over Murray just because Green Bay has been strong against the run. So if they can't establish it and they're one dimensional, is that going to help Kyler Murray? He kind of loses his rushing upside there. I think if I'm playing anything like Murray and McBride on the one side, if you're not going with Love, and then Harrison I like, but with McBride back, he's just become he's not like a star wide receiver. He's just one that's just like they're using to move the chain and not like stretch the field or like a big play or he has the potential for it, but the play calling has been abysmal for it. And Connor, I have on the fade list this week, uh, two for running back, just because Green Bay has had such a strong rush defense that they're really trying to get you to pass the ball. Now, on the other side, um, Green Bay or Arizona is trying to get you to run the ball because they focus on taking away the pass and make you run. So Love, I think I still like here, even though we don't know what his weapons are going to be. It looks like well, the one thing that we do know is that Kraft is alone at tight end. Musgrove is out on injury reserve, so that opens up him as a primary weapon there. Reed is going to be the second one. They'll run some stuff out of the backfield for him, and they'll do some jet sweeps and like reverses and stuff, which is pretty cool. So if they're scheming for him in the run game, that helps because Arizona is not very good against the run. Noob should be back after his temper tantrum or whatever. Don't think he learned his lesson, but they should allow him to play. And then Watson will have to see if he's in the game or not. He's trending towards probably not playing, but we'll have to see. So if everything's back, then it's probably just like Reed and Kraft if I'm taking um, people to try to pair with Love. But I think I really want to go with Jacobs because Arizona is so bad against the run. I think he could have an absolute monster game this week. Tampa Bay and the Saints, my number four game here. 42 total. Saints are favored by about 3.5. So on the Tampa Bay side, I think Baker Mayfield, the Saints just gave up a ton of yardage to the Chiefs and to Juju Smith-Schuster on Monday Night Football. They're coming off a short week. So Baker Mayfield is strong. It looks like White is doubtful. So Bucky Irving is going to have the backfield to himself, which I think he'll be a very strong play and very, very popular in cash games. I would sleep on Sean Tucker, and it's not just because he was a Syracuse guy. He was an explosive back in college. He's probably not going to be out there in third down because like he wasn't great with pass protection. But I think that if something happens to Irving or he's not effective, that Sean Tucker could go out there and might be surprising some people. So if you're mass multi entering and need like a cheap 4K dart in your utility, uh, just if you're especially if you're doing 150 lines, just throw them into like a couple lineups and might be something to that would work out for you. For wide receiver wise, like Evans has come on more than he did originally. As like Godwin was just like the solid floor guy. So I think Godwin still has the bigger floor. I think Evans still has the upside with the way that the Saints cover people, but they could throw some guys that could frustrate him. So as long as he keeps his head in the game and doesn't get rattled, then I think he'll be fine. But Godwin is definitely the one that I usually prefer here. They're closer in price, but Godwin usually has like more catches and not as explosive, but just the consistency seems to be there. And Kate Otten has been a solid tight end, and at the 3.5, he could probably get you 10 DK points. It's probably going to be between him and Schultz are probably going to be the chalk tight ends in cash. Tampa Bay defense is probably the top one on the slate, also because the Saints don't have Carr. They're starting backup quarterback. So the backup quarterback is Spence Rattler, and he's only 4K. And he makes sense in GPPs and maybe in some hash builds if you want to try to nail like the wide receiver and then try to get like CD Lamb and St. Brown in the same lineup or with some other decent plays. I get it. I can't really recommend him for cash. I think he was a GPP player. He started out at Oklahoma. He got replaced by Caleb Williams, and then I think he went to South Carolina. And he has a lot of potential. He just is like cocky and has an attitude, so that's why um, he kind of fell in the draft. I think don't think the interviews went really that well. I don't know what to expect from him too. Like the talent's obviously there, but if you look at Caleb Williams and like what happens to rookie quarterbacks when they first come out, like the speed of the game is so much different. It might take them a little time to adjust. Tampa Bay has a decent defense, even though they are a pass funnel, they stop the run. So I really don't like Kamara as much here. So I think if you are playing Rattler, you want to take some wide receivers. He did make a comment in the press conference when they asked him what the game plan was. He said, just find where 12 is and throw him the ball. 12 is Olave. So that definitely means he'll be looking there. Sometimes quarterbacks fixate on certain wide receivers. I think Shaheed's definitely in play also, but Jawan Johnson usually has a safety blanket without Hill in the lineup, out injured, could also be another way to go for. someone if in the cash play, if you're pairing or double stacking with Rattler, go Olave and Juwan Johnson, just because then you have the kind of the possession guy to move the ball down the field and kind of like the safety blanket for him. So Pittsburgh and the Raiders, 36 total, 19.75 and 16.75. I think this is kind of a cross-off game here. 3-point favorite for Pittsburgh. Fields, I think you can play because Russell Wilson's about ready to come back and he needs to keep his foot on the gas, be able to continue to be the starting quarterback here. So if he has a terrible game, then it might turn into like a competition again, and I don't think Fields wants that. So Fields in play. Harrison Warren. Warren should be back. Again, mud puddle for backfield here. Neither one have been super effective, even with injuries. Pickens is a head case. I can't believe he didn't get suspended after some of his antics last week. So if you want to pair him with Field, that's fine. If you just want to play Fields on his own, that's fine also. And Fryermuth, I think, makes a lot of sense. Aiden O'Connor takes over for Gardner Minshew just because he was not effective at all. O'Connor's been okay. Pittsburgh's got a good defense. I don't really think I want to mess with him here and get cute with O'Connor. If I want to play a cheap quarterback, um, definitely give me a Rattler for New Orleans over O'Connor. Zamir White might be back. If he is, like, I don't really care. Madison's there, Abdullah. Its backfield has really done nothing. I don't think it's going to do anything, especially with O'Connell in there. They just need to figure out some. They really need to just blow up this team and figure out. If Devontae Adams, I know he wants to trade. He won't be playing. Looks like Myers, the other starting wide receiver, is going to be out also. So Trey Tucker, chalk, cheap wide receiver makes a lot of sense here. I mean, you have Turner, McAllister also out there, but I don't think that they're going to get it. I think if anything, Brock Bowers is just going to be a target monster again. So if you want to play it for tight end, I think he's even a better spot than McBride here. Probably can get you maybe 15, 17 DK points with all the catches he should rack up if O'Connell can actually get to the ball to him. Pittsburgh defense makes not on my board, but definitely makes a little bit of sense here too to play against the Raiders. Chargers and Broncos, another game to cross off here. We haven't seen the Chargers on because of bye weeks and Monday Night Football and stuff on the main slate in a while, but I'm not touching him. Herbert still nursing an injury, really hasn't been great. You have Dobbins back. He's essentially okay, but Denver hasn't had been too bad defensively. Vidal could start to take away carries from also. If Edwards is in there and not out, then that just makes things even more muddy. For wide receivers, like they all have been pedestrian. Probably the best one was Lade McConkey, just because he seems to be like the possession guy in the slot and kind of like a Waddle or an Edelman or Cole Beasley, just one of those guys that just gets an immense amount of volume but doesn't get a ton of yardage, maybe because there's one touchdown. So their line is like 12 for 36 with one touchdown, which does translate into a decent amount of DK points for the price point at 4.9, but it's not like, it's a monster day that Jefferson or Lamb or some of like the big stud wide receivers could Chase could potentially have. Not touching the tight end situation for the Chargers. The Chargers defense are maybe intriguing just because Bo Nix is another rookie who seems like the speed of the game is really kind of he's kind of catching up a little bit. They played a solid game last week, so I think he's figuring it out and getting there, but it's just such a different transition from college to the pro game. So again, not really touching anything. I don't really like anything on the Denver side of it. Uh, yeah, I'm not going to go there. I'm not 16.25 total. Not worth it. I don't think I really want anything for this game. But this next game, I really do. Detroit and the Cowboys, 52.5 total. I think everybody's going to potentially look at like if they want Goff or Dak. and then either St. Brown or Lamb or both, and they just want to pair them up and figure it out from there. Hopefully, it's a high scoring game, which I'm fine with. Starting with the Detroit side, Goff, I get if you want there. St. Brown, I get. Jameson Williams, I think, is a nice pivot off of him also. Laporta, the tight end. I think Jameson's kind of been pushing the issue to be the number two over Laporta as an option, but we'll see what happens. I think they're all good options there. But I really want to focus on the running game because I think everybody's going to go for the Detroit passing offense. But Dallas is one of the most extreme run funnels. They are terrible against the run. So I really think this is a Montgomery game. I think that he just pounds the rock, and Dan Campbell is smart enough to take advantage of it. So I think the opening script is just going to be run Montgomery, run Montgomery, run Montgomery. Maybe throw some Gibbs in there on third down, change the pace. Maybe take some shots with St. Brown's or Williams or Laporta. But I think you're going to see a steady dose of run, so that's where I want to go. I think my favorite play here is going to be Montgomery. And I think the Detroit defense, with how chaotic Dallas' offense has been recently, that they just have looked bad. Now, I know they were in a driving rainstorm last week at Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh has a decent D, but they just look bad. So I think Detroit D could be sneaky paired with Montgomery. Um, Maybe Goff and St. Brown or Williams. So figure they get out early and then they start pounding the rock. But if I'm stacking the game, I might like go with Gibbs and Montgomery. Just take the running backs there and then run it back with Lamb. So on the Cowboy side, like Dak's okay. I don't think I love him. I think he's good medium range quarterback. Like there's definitely some savings off of him if besides taking like Lamar, Hurts, Daniels, or Stroud, the ones you're paying up for it. I think with the total of this game, there's the potential. Battle the running back. I really don't want to touch him or Elliott because Detroit is a pass funnel, so that helps Prescott, that helps Lamb, and the Tolberts looked really good also in the absence of Cook. Really starting to come around at only 5K. If it gets you like 12 to 15 DK points, that's pretty amazing at that price point. And then Ferguson, the tight ends, is strong consideration also. Final game we have is the Falcons and the Panthers. Falcons side of the ball, Kirk Cousins, 500 yards passing, looked pretty amazing on Thursday Night Football, was it? Um, Last week. So definitely has some weapons here between London, Mooney, and McLeod. I London's the number one guy here, and then McLeod be second. Like McLeod's always in motion in their the way that they run their offense. He's always running like across the formation and stuff, which hopefully gives him a chance to get open a little bit more and to be able to see what the coverage is. So I think that he's if you want to pivot off of London, who's going to be super popular, especially in cash games, then that's a nice play. Cousins is a great quarterback. Bijan Robinson against the Carolina team. I don't know their run funnel. They try to stop the run, but they're not super good at it. They're not super good at anything. So I think Bijan Robinson is definitely in play. And even if they do stop the run, that he can catch balls out of the backfield and be fine. Kyle Pitts, I think the Falcons have a lot of great weapons here. Third favorite game on the slate here is just trying to nail down. I think I go London McLeod. You want to double stack in through Robinson in there, Pitts. I get it. I'm fine with that. But I think there's a lot of upside here. Panther side of the ball, Dalton, I'm not super interested in. Chuba Hubbard has been super solid. Uh, it's only a matter of time before some of the other pieces start to come back, and that backfield is just going to turn into a mud puddle with just so many mouths to feed there. But this might be the last game for him to go out there and establish that he is the number one. So I do like him, and I don't know why he's on the board twice there. I think we just be Rob up top there. So, but Hubbard, I think's in play. I think that people are going to overlook him. His ownership's not going to be as strong because everybody's going to go with like Pollard and Irving, and I think throw some Gibson in there. But I think that if you want to, uh, I mean, if you're running it back, you're probably going to go with Deontay Johnson over Hubbard, but Hubbard is a one-off that I'm fine with. So looking at the board over here, paying up for quarterback, I think you want to do that in cash. Like Lamar and Hurts just have like the upside for rushing. Hurts with like the goal line back there with the brotherly shove to poach touchdowns. And then Daniels and Stroud are interesting in games with decent totals. Dak, again, against a run stopping defense that wants you to pass. Love Murray in that game, even though the range concerns me a little bit with their performance. Cousins could have another 500 yards. Rattler, if you want to go really cheap, Field Levis or other kind of cheap guys to consider. If you're paying up, Henry's my favorite. Not because I'm a Ravens fan, just because I really like his potential there. Barkley, I just put him. I think statistically, Barkley probably makes more sense, but I just hate that Hurts poaches Barkley's touchdowns with the brotherly shove, and that kind of lowers his upside for me. Gibbs and Kamara, even though Kamara's against a solid run defense. Bijan Robinson, Chuba Hubbard, Jacobs, I really, really, really like against a weak run defense, and Montgomery's same. And then Bucky Urban and Pollard are probably going to be the chalk ones. Harris I had up there when Warren was questionable. I don't think I like him as much anymore. And then Gibson is a decent play for New England if you think that they can get anything going. Wide receiver Lamb and Brown, AJ Brown, St. Brown, like if you're paying up, they're all in good matchups there. Diggs without Collins, but again, do they feed him more? Do they just spread out more to Dell and Schultz and maybe some of the other guys? Godwin has always been my favorite guy until he starts to let me down for Tampa Bay. London is another solid option against Carolina. Reed and from Green Bay and Dell. If Diggs doesn't get more of a share, is definitely one if he continues to be healthy that could really redevelop his relationship that Stroud had with him last season and be strong. Dijon Johnson, McLaurin are there, and then in the cheaper range, Mooney, Pickens, Sutton. I don't know if I really want to go there. Um, Myers. I don't think Myers is going to be in. Both these guys are questionable, so I probably would just, if anything, just play Mooney up here from Washington. But I really don't like this range. I like this range here. Torbo, McLeod, um, Mitchell, and McConkley are definitely where I would look to go for cheap wide receivers. I think it makes more sense. I'd probably just stay out of this range. Tight ends, Powers has been amazing. McBride is getting back and healthy. Goddard might have his volume go down a little bit, and Laporta, we'll have to see how that game goes. Ferguson's going to be very popular. Kraft is a strong play. Pitts has looked better than last year. Schultz, if maybe he picked up some target share with missing college Firemouth Burks. Otten's been good. Jawan Johnson, all these guys are pretty cheap and potentially could get you like 10 points at sub 3.5, which is an amazing point per dollar play. Defense, Tampa Bay and Tennessee are definitely ahead of the class. You want to pay up Philly and Texas, punt Arizona and Carolina, and then and play at Baltimore and Detroit. So get to the Bills to get you on your way for your Sunday. So give me Hurts or Lamar, and then I'm going to correlate with the QB, one of the wide receivers. So AJ Brown or um, I don't think I really want to go Hurts. I know he's a tight end there, but I think AJ Brown's where I want to go over Devonta Smith. But I'll let you make the choice there. And then if you have Lamar, if you want to throw Flowers into for cash, I'm fine. But if you don't want to play either one of them and just play either one naked, I'm fine with that too. Bucky Irvin and Pollard, where you probably want to go for one running back. They have a lot of upside. They should have like a full share of the backfield there. I said maybe Tucker comes in and takes a little bit away from Irving, but I don't think Pollard's really going to be challenged too much. He should um, have a solid game. Spears might poach a couple things, but I don't think it's going to be like a big speed like being the more explosive player and really upstanding ETN last week, which I kind of feared, and I bet the wrong horse. I thought ETN because they kept on talking about. They really wanted to feed him and get him in, and then Bixby goes and has like the 6 yard touchdown run. So you'll figure. Uh, Wide receiver, give me one of the cheap guys. So give me Tucker from Las Vegas or McConkley from the. I apologize if I call the Los Angeles Chargers. I know that they're the LA Chargers now, but I still that habit's so hard to break. And then some Tampa Bay guys, Otten and their defense is where I want to go to finish off cash. And you figure out whatever wide receiver or flex play works best for you. Lots of options to go with. And then GPP, give me Rattler. I'm going to go on a limb and think Montgomery controls that game, and they pound the ball through him, and he gets 2 or 3 touchdowns. And but we're still going to run it back with Lamb. Olave is the one that Rattler said he's going to be looking for, so give me that. And then either going to double stack with Jawan Johnson, his tight end, or play Kraft there, who's an amazing position also, and the Texans defense where I'm going to go. So we got for you. If you have any questions, put in the chat below. Hit me at MegaRow31 on Twitter/X. If you want more information on FSI DFS, you can go to the video, and there's a link to our pricing page there. And if these videos help us back, like, subscribe to the channel, and share with your friends. So thanks for watching. Hope you have an amazing weekend. I will the Monday Night Football one. I'll try to get out Sunday night again. That seemed to be very popular last week, and I got a lot of compliments on it. And actually, the um, besides missing the Smith Schuster explosion, um, I thought Watson would be the guy. Other than that, the content was pretty solid, and I got a lot of thank yous for that. So, um, because of your appreciation, I will have even though the games can be kind of a clunker, the Bills and the Jets, we'll dig into it and see what we can find to try to help you build some good lineups. So, thanks for watching. Hope you have an amazing weekend. Good luck in your contests, and I'll see you next time.